The rain fell in sheets, drumming against the roof of the old car as Evie Carter navigated the winding roads leading to her childhood home. It had been years since she had set foot in this town, a place she had once vowed to escape. But now, with her estranged father's death, she found herself drawn back to the decaying remnants of her past. Eldritch Hollow was a town steeped in shadows, its streets lined with trees that seemed to whisper secrets to one another. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and moss, and the fog rolled in like a shroud, obscuring the world beyond. As she approached the house, a chill ran down her spine. The Victorian stood tall but weary, its paint peeling and windows clouded with grime. It was a house that had seen better days, much like Evie herself. Evie parked the car and stepped out, the rain soaking through her jacket as she made her way to the front door. The key felt heavy in her pocket, a reminder of the weight of her father's legacy. She hesitated before inserting it into the lock, her heart racing with a mix of dread and anticipation. The door creaked open, revealing a darkened hallway that smelled of mildew and neglect. Dust motes danced in the dim light, filtering through the grimy windows. As she stepped inside, the floorboards groaned beneath her weight, echoing the loneliness that had settled in the house. Evie took a deep breath, steeling herself for the memories that awaited her. The living room was cluttered with remnants of her father's life-old furniture draped in white sheets, a faded armchair that had once been his favorite, and photographs lining the mantelpiece, capturing moments of joy and sorrow. She wandered through the rooms, each one a time capsule of her childhood. In the kitchen, she found a collection of mismatched dishes, remnants of family dinners long past. The walls were adorned with peeling wallpaper, and the air felt thick with unspoken words. It was here that she first noticed the symbols etched into the woodwork, strange, swirling patterns that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. The next day, Evie ventured into town, hoping to reconnect with the few people she remembered. The diner on the corner was a familiar sight, its neon sign flickering like a heartbeat. As she entered, the bell above the door chimed, drawing the attention of the few patrons inside. Max, her childhood friend, looked up from his coffee, surprise lighting up his face. "Evie, I didn't know you were back," he said, rising to give her a warm hug. His presence was a comfort, a reminder of simpler times before the weight of the world had settled on her shoulders. They sat together, reminiscing about their childhood adventures and the strange tales that had circulated about the Fever House. Max's expression turned, serious as he spoke of the town's dark history, the fever that had swept through decades ago, leaving behind a trail of madness and despair. "Your dad was always involved in the weird stuff," he said, his voice low. "People said he was trying to uncover the truth about the house." Evie's heart raced at the mention of her father. She had always felt a distance between them, a chasm created by years of silence and unresolved issues. "What do you know about it?" she asked, leaning in closer. Max hesitated, glancing around as if the walls themselves were listening. "There are stories, Evie, about the families that lived there, how they all ended up, missing, or worse. Your dad thought he could figure it out, but I think it drove him mad." That night, as Evie lay in her father's old bed, sleep eluded her. The house creaked and groaned, the sounds echoing through the silence like whispers of the past. She closed her eyes, but sleep brought no solace. Instead, she was plunged into a world of nightmares, visions of shadowy figures lurking in the corners, faces twisted in anguish, and the suffocating feeling of being trapped. When she awoke, drenched in sweat, the symbols from the house danced in her mind. She felt an overwhelming urge to uncover their meaning, to understand the connection between her father and the fever that had haunted this town. The next day she returned to the library, poring over old newspapers and records, searching for clues. As she sifted through the yellowed pages, she stumbled upon an article detailing the disappearance of the Miller family, the last occupants of the Fever House. Their story was chilling, how they had slowly succumbed to madness, their lives unraveling until they vanished without a trace. The article mentioned strange occurrences in the house, whispers of a fever that drove people to the brink of insanity. Evie's heart raced as she read the final lines, detailing how the house had been left abandoned, a monument to the horrors that had transpired within its walls. She felt a chill run down her spine, realizing that her father's obsession with the house had not been a mere curiosity, but a desperate search for answers. As days turned into weeks, the haunting presence in the house grew stronger. Evie found herself drawn deeper into its mysteries, her grip on reality slipping. She began to isolate herself, pushing Max away as the fever took hold. The whispers grew louder, echoing in her mind, urging her to uncover the truth. One night, she stumbled upon a hidden room in the attic, filled with her father's journals and artifacts from the Miller family. The journals were filled with frantic scrawls, detailing his descent into madness as he tried to communicate with the spirits trapped within the house. The fever had consumed him, just as it had the Millers. Evie felt a surge of panic as she realized the connection between her father and the house. The fever was a manifestation of the house's dark energy, feeding off the fears and regrets of those who entered. She could feel it wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket, urging her to give in to the madness that had claimed so many before her. Desperation clawed at Evie as she confronted the truth. The house was alive, a sentient entity that thrived on despair. She could no longer ignore the visions that plagued her figures from the past, her faces twisted in agony, beckoning her to join them. The line between reality and hallucination blurred, and she felt herself spiraling into the depths of the fever. In a moment of clarity, Evie remembered the journals she had found. They contained a ritual, a way to confront the spirits and break the cycle of madness. With trembling hands, she gathered the items needed for the ritual: candles, salt, and a mirror. As night fell, she set up the makeshift altar in the living room, the air thick with tension. As she began the incantation, the house responded violently. The walls shook, and the temperature dropped, her breath visible in the frigid air. Shadows danced around her, whispering her name, urging her to stop. But Evie pressed on, her voice rising above the chaos, calling out to the spirits trapped within. "Show yourselves," she cried, her heart pounding in her chest. "I am not afraid." The shadows coalesced into forms, their faces emerging from the darkness. They were the lost souls of the house, their eyes filled with sorrow and rage. Evie felt their pain, their longing for release. In that moment, she understood that they were not her enemies, but victims of the fever, just as she was. With a final surge of determination, Evie completed the ritual. The energy in the room shifting as the spirits began to dissipate. A wave of relief washed over her, and the oppressive weight of the house lifted. The whispers faded, replaced by a profound silence. She had broken the cycle, freeing the spirits from their torment. As dawn broke, Evie stood in the living room, the sunlight streaming through the windows, illuminating the dust motes that danced in the air. The house felt different now, lighter, as if a burden had been lifted. She knew she could never erase the past, but she had found closure. Evie decided to stay in Eldritch Hollow, determined to rebuild her life and reconnect with the community. She reached out to Max, who welcomed her back with open arms, ready to help her heal. Together, they began to restore the house, turning it from a symbol of despair into a place of hope. Yet, as she looked out the window one last time, a flicker of doubt crossed her mind. The house had changed, but the shadows of its past lingered, a reminder that some stories never truly end. The fever may have been quelled, but the echoes of its presence would always remain. A haunting melody woven into the fabric of Eldritch Hollow.